video I want to introduce the topic of collision. Maybe you have seen an exercise who might look similar like the following. Okay, this is complete bullshit, because if you take a deeper look in this, if you try to stop your opponent's fist by using the palm, it's just like blocking. It's like Bud Spencer doing this. Okay, there's no difference. In Wing Chun we don't behave in the way that we try to stop the opponent's hand. But instead, let's say I cannot move my body in order to escape by moving out of the taking line. If this happens and I'm still here when he's punching, I have to use a technique which is distracting the opponent's hand. So I use, instead of my palm, part of my upper arm and so on. So I can use this more sliding part of the arm to just make him distract instead of stopping it. So when we try to stop it, we will injure ourselves because the complete blow, the complete impact will rush into our wrist. Okay? This is the first thing. Use the correct surface of hand if you cannot avoid the collision. The second thing is, either we behave rather in an offensive or defensive way. If I behave in a defensive way, I always try to protect 3 levels. For the trunk, it's 2 levels, and then the third is to the ground. So this means I will not use a stretched arm anyway, but I try to do a cover. This means I use a wusa, for example. So this covers me more, so the likeness of having a protection is bigger. Okay? If we attack, we just do the opposite. In attack, I try to have range instead of protection, but I have always a reason to use an attacking technique, because there is already an opening or a chance of attacking. We will never just attack without having protection. So the conditions must be in a way that we can protect and then use a prolongation of the hand. So, but back to our collisions. When we attack, use the right surface. So I use a fist, which is rather a hard structure, for attacking soft areas like the trunk. So we do the punch to the body, even to the throat, but use a soft or a punch strike for attacking the head, which is a hard area. So also adoption to physics of the body. So chancer, for example, here for this kind of part of the body. So we get a perfect match in order to bring the complete force into the opponent. So when I attack, I do just the opposite of defense. I want to have a maximum result of impact when attacking. But if he attacks me, I avoid the collision. I want him just to slide. So make it very slippy, use parts of your body which do not stop the opponent's hand, but just give them a new direction. This would be more wise here. Okay, another aspect of this exercise is we have the tactics involved, which is the 2 versus 1 principle. This is an economic principle. For example, if my partner holds the arm in front of it, I move in, first protected, and do a pulling move. This is 2 versus 1. By pulling his arm, the second shoulder falls back and the frontal arm anyway is controlled. This means by shortening up his protecting hand, his options to defend are limited. This is why we do the pulling move here. Okay? So if you just do it this way, you cannot effectively influence the second arm by doing a paksa or something which moves frontally. Okay? The paksa, which is a side movement, is effectively executed only in case I'm very close to the trunk. So let's say from the elbow this would work, but never in this place. This can give in quite fast, okay, like a spring. So by just pressing something to the side, I cannot influence the other shoulder. So this is why the first move has to be a pulling move, and only this turns or gives him a rotation, which I can use for the 2 versus 1 rule here. So we will construct this exercise or modify it to a better exercise which cover all these aspects. And let's see this first. So when he throws me a punch, I either can do a diagonal again or a frontal movement here. So this is defensive behavior. I'm trying to move out of the way. If I don't succeed, I will just distract his hand here, okay? And then by pulling, I have the 2 versus 1 advantage. In case I'm successfully, this might lead to the result of hitting the opponent. But back to our exercise. Also for him as a defender, when I try to create an opening, he will use a diagonal position or movement which is covering the high area and do a rotation. You recognize that this is a cycling dancer from the Sifu. So if somebody holds your hand or pulls it down, just by rotation, the grippiness or his ability to hold me or fix my hand will decrease. So by doing a rotation, it's not so easy to get or grab a hand. And this is the reason or one of the functions of applying the dancer. So if he pulls my arm down, I will do a rotation and I try to also catch his attacking arm. So in the first moment I am protected, but I also use my arm like an obstacle in which might trap the opponent's arm, and I'm pulling myself by his pulling force out of the way. Okay, and when this happens, I'm first of all not in the way. I was trapping his arms and I use now the 2 versus 1 advantage to attack him from new position and finish them with a stronger weapon. Okay, and when we do this as a drill, let's say it looks like this. Of course, if I successfully trap him, the exercise is over. Okay, but we know from Chizo, pressing down the head, lifting up the air. So this means if I do this to him, he will react by muscle, and then we have another starting point. From here on, I pull down his arm, he does a dancer, he also traps me and attacks me again, and then we do the same exercise endless. So this is part of the first section. Okay, but in case he's not able to hold his arm high position in order to make an obstacle here, he will have to use a 1 versus 1. He tries, but everybody always tries to use 2 versus 1, so control with one arm both of the opponents. But if he doesn't manage, then he's still at the side position, so partly already safe, but still protected with Musa, and then creates an opening. I risk do the same. I try to trap him, try to pull myself out of the way, return a bit. But if I don't manage, then we have this. Okay? If you don't manage, the exercise looks like this. He's stretching his arm. I hold my arm quite close to my body, so I have a bigger protection. And then this changes all the time. It's this kind of drill. Important here that we don't just stop and stand here and do this. Okay? But use the opening movement of the opponent to like sitting on a horse and pull yourself out of the way. This is a kind of relative behavior. He's helping me to get out of the way. I'm helping him to get out of the way, and so on. And this would be more intelligent. Okay, but never forget, we try always to do the 2 versus 1. So he tries to trap both of my hands, and I will then spring up, and so on. So if this happens successfully, he does a bong or a mansaw, and we start again. And this is of course part of the Chi-Sao. Okay, I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good time.